let's jump into 72 hours after Munich. So, guys, this story to me, let's put up our first element, is just amazing. You basically have AOC complaining about her coverage. She calls up the New York Times while she's still in Germany, and she complains that this negative coverage is overshadowing her anti-authoritarian message. Here's a quote from the story. The way her performance was microscopically dissected through the lens of what it means for a hypothetical White House campaign frustrated Miss Ocasio-Cortez, 36. She said she worried her message was being lost. My reaction was boo-hoo. Okay, welcome to the big leagues. And Dan, I want to start with you on this because, she is pretty media savvy. Not pretty, she's
Totally.
considered very media savvy, but I can't decide if this is a good idea or does this just show that she has thin skin and sort of elongate the story?
Yeah, it was a horrible idea. It's now getting to the point where the kind of cover up is worse than the initial crime. Start with who she called. She called the New York Times, right? We talk about how her brand is social media savvy. She's young. She constantly is online, kind of giving and taking and just in the game. And next to Gavin Newsom, it's who people said, gets this modern world better than anyone else. To argue that basically it's unfair that people are taking clips and sending them around in short snippets, like, duh, like it's pathetic and embarrassing for her to make this kind of whining argument that when your calling card is that you're kind of the party queen of social media. So I don't understand what she was doing. Like, if you think about it, a smart move would be kind of like what Trump does, which is what would have been like, look, Trump bungles names, Trump bungles regions all the time, right? How come no one's talking about that? Think about when the Access Hollywood tape happened. What did Trump say? Look at Bill Clinton with women. Let's talk about that, right? But to sit there and literally just complain about this, I don't get what she's doing. I think it is just a stunning kind of immature. And I said to you guys this weekend, not a big deal in the long run. She'll move past it. This just now has more and more people kind of laughing at her within the party. It's amazing.
So, look, I will just say yes to what Dan said.
Yes.
But I'll go a bit further because it wasn't just the Taiwan thing. She tried to take a pot shot at Marco Rubio, and didn't get the history of the United States right. And if you're going to take pot shots, of course people are going to criticize you. I mean, like, she tried to do it. She was hoping to land a punch on Rubio, and it turned out pretty horribly. So it was just all around. And then to Dan's point, to call the New York Times and whine about it, like what that says to me, though, I mean, to Dan's point about like social media queen, yes. But here's the thing. She understood why she was going there, which was she was trying to show donors and DC Democratic establishment that I'm more than just a talking point and a social media video. Like, look at me. I can be on the world stage. I can carry myself. And so when she called the New York Times, I think this was an acknowledgement. I've got to clean up on aisle 6 big time.
Well, and look at
that was reaching out to donors and to establishment types in the Democratic Party that said, hey, I'm getting taken advantage of because I said some stupid stuff and they actually reported it.
But think about this, right? Why is Friday so deadly for her? Because it's ricocheting around the internet. And so to the average person, it's crossing their screen, right? It is a short 30-second clip. Why not go and respond forcefully, or at least put allies like on Rachel Maddow, on MS Now, people to put, there's nothing, there's no cavalry, there's nothing. And for her to say that, am I acting like someone who is trying to run? No, because I'm there for a very different specific purpose. When you literally reached out to the New York Times on Thursday to say, I've hired Bernie Sanders' foreign policy person, I've been working for over a month on my speech. Like, she raised the curtain herself, proactively gave them the details to, as you know, I think to Sean's point, to tease to the intelligentsia, like, get ready for me. And then part of your whining is, how dare you say that I'm, this was about running for president. She's embarrassing herself now. And now you start to say to yourself, oh boy, like, you could recover, but you better start showing that you got what it takes, or she may not even get out of the gate.
Two quick things. The first one being, in the story, she doesn't ever say, I'm not running for president, which was interesting to me. She doesn't say that. Second thing I was going to add to your point, Dan, about how she typically talks to reporters and which reporters she doesn't typically talk to, i.e. the more, legacy media, print journalism type. She's more focused on Instagram, TikTok, etc. Dave Weigel, who's a reporter at Semaphore, covers Democrats. Like, he's just a fantastic reporter. He tweeted a little bit about this yesterday and said that while AOC is often seen as somebody who's really quick on her feet and, very good with media, she actually picks and chooses quite often if you look very closely at who she's talking to. Like, she isn't doing a lot of those print interviews where they can really, get her and ask her tough questions. She often will sort of create these moments that go viral for herself, but that's very different than, being on the other side of somebody who's constantly coming at you with difficult questions. But it's just so funny because I've never sort of seen that side of her, where she stumbles like that. And now it's just like, okay, she's got to get out there and do more of this volleying if she wants to have a shot in 2028.
And by the way, I would love to know what Bernie Sanders and Zohran Mamdani are saying to her. Because those are two allies that are silent. Like, they're not defending her. They're not helping her right now. She's flapping in the wind.
How about can I just do this? Alexandria, you must prepare a little better. You've got to go out there and talk to reporters. You've got to try to enunciate your policies better.
That's well done.
That's very well done. All right.
I will tell you this, and I was not prepared for this. Back in the day, and I know we'll get to this, my Jesse Jackson was right up there. But I'm not going to even try today out of respect for. But I will say, like, to Dan's point, like, here's the thing about the pushback. It's one thing when you are taken out of context or when the speech isn't viewed in its entirety or whatever. What is her pushback? I didn't know what strategic ambiguity is. I didn't know U.S. history. Like, I was wrong. And people are making it. I mean, like, she was mocking Marco Rubio incorrectly. What's the pushback? What do you want to tell your allies? Hey, go out there and rewrite history for me. Go out there and say that, like, we actually don't. I mean, like, there's not an easy pushback when you were blatantly wrong. And I think the same goes, by the way, Gretchen Whitmer's answer. I think the way she came out of the gate was like just so pathetic, where she was like, she literally, by the way, Whitmer, I think, is worse because what she did was gave a clickable quote forever, which is, governors really don't know foreign policy, is what she said. You should ask one of the ambassadors. I was like, oh my God, literally, you just gave away the best clip forever now. You are.
I said this yesterday. I don't know what her game plan was going there, because all the local press was to advocate for this aerospace and defense manufacturing industry that's kind of sprouting up in Michigan. Like, okay, governors do business trips overseas all the time, but at the Munich summit, and then to Sean's point, you sit on a panel and you're asked about the war in Ukraine. I mean, you can't say, like, literally Taiwan, okay, maybe you're in Germany, you don't think, like, you've prepped for NATO and you get a question and, whatever. The war in Ukraine, to be like, I don't know. Like, I don't, kind of phone a friend.
But it's not just, I don't know. This is why what she said was so damaging. She said, it's not like governors do foreign policy. So literally, to the extent when she runs, you're basically, the opponents are going to say, she's not ready. And Rahm Emanuel's comeback on both of them was kind of brilliant, which is, look, as a guy who's actually served in the Indo-Pacific, like, I know, but, I'm not going to say it. Like, it was like such the little, like, slapping, like, I'm not going to hit you, but I am.
Well, and this is where, too, what's so fascinating about AOC is, I mean, I genuinely believe, and I have no knowledge of this, that the reason she kind of hesitated so badly was because she was like, shoot, it's ambiguity is the answer, but I don't really want to just say that. And she fumbled. So to Sean's point, if you're going to call the New York Times, just say, hey, look, I froze for a second about how to say this, but the policy is ambiguity. And I was ambiguous, like, ha, 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 or attack. Do one or the other. But to just call and complain,
Whine.
this is unfair.
And that wasn't even complain. That was whining.
Yes, correct.